We're pleased to welcome now Colonel Ron Rutland, retired from the United States Air Force. Hey, Colonel, thanks for joining us.
That's my pleasure, sir.
So tell us about your story related to your brother, Jack Rutland, host of the True American Heroes podcast. You, sir, are from Mississippi, right?
Well, my dad was service, and my twin brother and I were born in Birmingham, but we moved to Texas when I was 6 weeks old. And then when he retired from the Air Force, he moved back to Mississippi, to JS, Mississippi.
Okay.
So, yeah, the older brother has always been a big influence on the twins. He usually he was tough on us. There was no doubt about it. But I guess that's what big brothers are for. But the twin brothers said pretty well. He was big brother, and he was right.
Gotcha. So he was in California. Is that correct? On 9/11.
9/11. I was stationed at Travis Air Force Base, commanding the 349th Operations Group. And when we were driving into the base that morning, and the gate was locked. It was closed, and cars were backed up. So I'm just sitting there, and I get a wife call, and said, "Hey, have you heard?" And I said, "Heard what?" And she said, "About the first impact on the, towers."
Right.
And I just kind of shook my head. I said, "No." And so going in is backed up, going out is open. So I see a young man walking down the other side of the road from me, and he's carrying a rifle. And he walks up and he said, "Are you Colonel Rutland?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Would you pull out and get into this lane and go in the gate that way?" So
wow.
We ended up getting together the leadership at Travis. There were two wings, 349th. And I want to tell you, it was the wing I was in, and that it was a pretty solemn room of senior commanders, the senior commanders at Travis, as we sat there and listened to what's going on. But it was part of our process that when something like this happens, we have things we can do. And we started implementing all of the things we needed to do if we needed the worst case scenario, go to war. So we immediately, I had more volunteers in my reserve wing, and the active duty wing commander, General Kane, was busy getting his outfit ready to go wherever is needed. Well, it just gets us ready. We had nowhere to go. We didn't know who hit us. We did not know what was going on. It's just that we were preparing ourselves to do what we had to do. And later on, probably about 3 weeks later, things did start executing.
Man, that's fascinating. So what was the attitude, Colonel, among you said senior staff members and so forth? What were they thinking at that time? Were they mad? Were they concerned? Were they eager to activate and do their duty?
Well, having not a direction to go, I will tell you the attitude of every man in there who I considered my friends and compadres is that it was a feeling of intensity.
Yeah.
We knew what we were supposed to do and what we had to do. We'd been training and training and training to be prepared to do whatever our country needed us to do. So I would say intensity, and I would say a little shock.
Yeah.
I can't call it anger because it wasn't anger. We're trained to do what we're supposed to do and not get emotional.
Yeah, exactly. Now, where's this base located in California exactly?
Well, it's basically real close to the Napa Valley, but just north of San Francisco.
Okay.
In Oakland. And about an hour's drive north, you're at the base. And that's where I was at for 4 years.
I got you. Well, just an aside to that, my brother was actually stationed at Beale Air Force Base in California during the Vietnam conflict. Was in strategic.
Bill's just up the road.
Okay, gotcha. Was in Strategic Air Command, and when I was younger, visited out there and was fascinated by the gigantic B-52s taking off. Man, those things are big, and just seem like
they are big.
Whoa.
You're dating yourself.
Yeah, I know. But those things would roll out, just seem like forever. You know, they just keep going down the runway. You're wondering, are they going to lift off here? Are they going to take off or not and rotate? But incredible. So then what happened after that? You got orders to go where exactly?
Well, a few months later, I got called in, and I was activated. Got called in by the commander, General Becker at 15th Air Force, and he sent me and a team to Guam, where we would set up and operate the air bridge. And air bridge meaning any stuff that needed to come from the States, they needed to go downrange. And in this particular case, nonstop from the West Coast to Guam, we turned the airplane with gas and put a new crew on it, and they'd fly on to Diego Garcia. So we had a good friend of mine running Diego. I was running Guam, and a good one in Hawaii. So that was the air bridge. So we were bringing everything from bombs to windshields on B-1s, and you name it. We were moving it in that direction as the government has decided what they wanted us to do, and that's what we ended up having to set up. And it was pretty easy. It was our training. I had 10 KC-10s, and I think there were 15 135s there, because when the C-5 would take off heavy weight, as soon as he got leveled off, he'd take fuel from a tanker, so he could go nonstop to Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah. So, Colonel, was the prospect of perhaps being mobilized and deployed to attack, to go on the offensive against these terrorists that committed this horrible act on our soil here in America? Was that crossing your mind? Was that being discussed?
No. To be honest with you, is that the Guard and Reserve have always been sitting on the cuff of being called up, but it takes presidential approval and authorization for us to be called in and set so that we go and do. So the merging of the Guard, Reserve, and the active duty was seamless. There was just like, okay, you're going there and you're going to command whoever it is that's there. And it didn't make any idea. It didn't make any difference. It was Guard or Reserve that you were commanding, or even active duty. So, no, as far as, how would I put it, as far as concerned that I may be called up to go to war, no, that didn't cross my mind. My job and my thought was doing what I was trained to do. And that's what the military is. We're trained to do things.
Yes, sir.
And that's how we do our job. And I want to say those who wear the uniform, especially the military, it doesn't matter which branch, it's not a job.
Right.
It's a profession. And you stay prepared to do what you need to do. Flexibility, we used to say that was the key to air power.
We got a couple of minutes left, but I'm curious as to what you sensed the attitude was amongst the ranks, amongst the rank and file, them learning and hearing about this. I think most of us, like you said, we were sort of frustrated. And I know you guys are trained not to be emotional about these things, just do your job. What was the attitude?
Well, I'll repeat the word intense. We just knew we had a job to do. We settled down. We didn't try to do the emotional part. What was the assets we had available? Where could we send that? Where do we need to set up something? In my case, it was part of the air bridge, as we called it, from the States to Diego Garcia, to get supplies downrange for B-52s and B-1s that were doing bombing missions from Diego.
Man. Well, it's been an honor to talk to you today, Colonel Rutland. Appreciate you coming on and being with us on this special day, sir. And most importantly, on behalf of a grateful nation, we thank you for your service. Really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you for talking to me. And remember about military guys like me, we're worse than golfers and we're worse than fishermen. Our stories get better with time.
Well, it was fascinating. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Colonel.
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
You too. We're coming right back, folks, in the Element Wealth studio.